Semitendinosus muscle is also one of the posterior compartment muscle of the thigh. The extensive part of this muscle is tendon. That's why it is called semitendinosus muscle. It is also one of the hamstring muscle. In the posterior compartment, it is medial in position to the bicep femoris muscle. In cross-section view, you can appreciate the medial position of semitendinosus muscle compared to the bicep femoris muscle. This muscle originates from the infero-medial part of the upper area of ischial tuberosity, the same area from where the long head of the bicep femoris muscle originate. This is isolated hip bone with the interior view. In the posterior view, this is the ischial tuberosity. This is the upper area of the ischial tuberosity, and below is the lower area. And from the infero-medial part of the upper area originate semitendinosus muscle, and close to it originate the long head of bicep femoris muscle. After origination, the spindle-shaped muscle belly end in the lower half of the thigh and form a long cord-like tendon. This cord-like tendon of the semitendinosus muscle lies on the semimembranosus muscle and descend to the knee. Here you can appreciate the tendon of this muscle which lies on the semimembranosus muscle. The tendon curve around the medial condyle of the tibia and insert on the medial surface of the proximal tibia. Appreciate the medial condyle of the tibia bone and the tendon of semitendinosus muscle curve around the medial condyle. Next is the insertion. It is inserted on the medial surface of the proximal tibia, posterior to the insertion of gracilis and sartorius muscle as part of pes inserinus. Pes inserinus is the collection of three tendons that are inserted on the medial surface of the proximal tibia. It includes the tendon of gracilis muscle, sartorius muscle, and semitendinosus muscle. And the insertion of semitendinosus muscle is posterior to the gracilis and sartorius muscle insertion. This is isolated tibia bone with the interior view. This is the medial surface of the tibia bone. Here is the proximal part of the medial surface where pes inserinus is inserted. And you can appreciate that the insertion of semitendinosus muscle is posterior to the insertion of gracilis and sartorius muscle. Next is the innervation. It is innervated by tibial division of the sciatic nerve. Sciatic nerve has three nerve roots: L5, S1 and S2. And the main contribution to semitendinosus muscle is from S1. Next is the action. Semitendinosus muscle crosses two joints, the hip joint and the knee joint. At the hip joint, it causes extension of the thigh, and it makes sense since this muscle passes posterior to the hip joint. So contraction of this muscle will pull the thigh in this direction. At the knee joint, it causes flexion of the leg. And since it is present posterior to the knee joint, so contraction of this muscle will pull the leg in this direction. It also contributes in the medial rotation of the leg. Because it is inserted on the medial surface of the proximal tibia, so its contraction will rotate the leg in this direction. Next, I will discuss semimembranosus muscle. Thank you.